Welcome back. This is Rito here with another Calamity weapon showcase. Today we're going to be looking at the highly requested weapon called the Apotheosis. And here is what it looks like. It is such a crazy weapon, very unique and very cool. This is a magic weapon that can be acquired after defeating Supreme Calamitas. So let's take a look at what this weapon can do. If we just keep it going, we're hitting 5 million damage per second. I don't think I've ever seen a weapon do that much damage. Let's take a look at the tooltip. It says it does 1,376 magic damage, 91% critical strike chance, very fast speed, insane knockback, uses 26 mana. And then it says eat worms, unleashes interdimensional projection magic. Pretty awesome, and I've got it rolled to mythical. Another thing I want to try is switching over to the unlimited mana accessory instead of the sponge. And let's see what type of damage this can do now. Because we will not run out of mana, and it won't do mana sickness. It's getting a little laggy, but we're up to 5.9. We hit 6 million for a second there. I think it's because of the lag that it's actually slowing down the DPS. I mean, like, if a weapon can hit 1 million... I'd consider that really good post Supreme Calamitas, but this one's getting 6 million. Let's try it on an improved dummy. This is from the Louis AFK mod. I'm just curious the difference in damage. Oh my gosh, 7 million? 7.8 million? 8 million? What the heck? That is so stinking good. Obviously in a boss fight, it's not going to be landing every single hit just right. So let's try actually shooting it beside the enemy and see what these homing effects do. Let's just shoot a whole bunch of these. So when it's not hitting and it's kind of just missing, we're doing like 70,000 damage. That's not that good. Let's try shooting it when we're too close. And we're doing like 700,000 damage. If you're not hitting it directly, your damage is going to fall off really fast. But if you can land these shots perfectly, then you're going to do just such good damage. So let's try it on Providence. You see, if those things miss and Providence doesn't get in the way, they won't do that much damage. You do have to kind of land the shots pretty well, but still, that just demolishes Providence. And it's a really interesting way to fight a boss too. I like it. Now let's try it on the Devourer of Gods, which this is modeled after. Pretty powerful. A little bit laggy there. And let's see how this goes. Yeah, pretty good. Let's take a look at the massive recipe for this item, and then we can take a shot at fighting Supreme Calamitas. So using the Draydon's Forge, you can craft this from a ton of ingredients. It's about the same complexity as the Drat Bow, which is also one of the most complex crafting recipes in the game. And the reason for that is that you need an exo weapon pre-Supreme Calamitas, and this Subsuming Vortex has a huge crafting recipe itself. And then it requires a legendary drop, which is the Cosmic Discharge, and that's a 1% drop from the Devourer of Gods. Then you have the Staff of the Mechworm, and then the Excelsus, which you can both get from the Devourer of Gods. Then you need Darksun Fragments, Nightmare Fuel, and Endothermic Energy, which you can get from the Solar Eclipse, Pumpkin Moon, and the Frost Moon after defeating the Devourer of Gods and Yharon. And then you have Cosmilite Bars, which you can get after defeating the Devourer of Gods, and Phantoplasm, which you get from the dungeon after the Providence boss. And lastly, Shadowspec Bars, which you can craft after defeating Supreme Calamitas. And let's take a quick look at the Subsuming Vortex. It's actually a crafting recipe for 2 items. You can craft the Apotheosis, or you can craft the Eternity. And I've already done a review for the Eternity, and it's a pretty amazing weapon. So this is kind of interesting because the Subsuming Vortex is also an amazing weapon. So you may have to craft this 3 times in order to have each of these 3 endgame weapons. The recipe is, like I said, pretty challenging. You need the Augur of Elements, Event Horizon, Tears of Heaven, and Auric Tesla Bars to craft the Subsuming Vortex. And the Augur of Elements is craftable from the Eldritch Tome, Tome of Fates, Shadowflame Hextall, Galactica Singularities, and Luminite. And the Tome of Fates is just from Meld Bars and Spell Tome. And the Eldritch Tome is from the Slime God, and the Shadowflame Hextall is from one of the Goblin Wizards in hard mode. The Event Horizon is a combination of Starfall, Nuclear Fury, Relic of Ruin, and Darksun Fragments. Starfall, I believe you get from Astrum Diaz, and then Nuclear Fury you can craft from Luminite, Souls of Sight, Unicorn Horn, Razorblade Typhoon, and Poseidon. Razorblade Typhoon you get from Duke Fishron, and Poseidon you can get from the big clam boss in hard mode. And then Relic of Ruin is just Forbidden Fragments and Spell Tome. And as a side note, Relic of Ruin is one of the most overpowered magic weapons when you get it, so definitely pick that up if you're doing a mage playthrough. Lastly is the Tears of Heaven. It's the Frigid Flashbolt plus Water Bolt and Cores of Sunlight. Frigid Flashbolt is just a combination of the Frostbolt, Flarebolt, Essence of Elium, and Essence of Chaos. Very complicated, but after farming all this stuff up, it's definitely a unique enough weapon to be worth the farming. Such a cool weapon. Here we are in the Supreme Calamitas arena, and it is time to try this weapon out. So let's get this boss fight started. Okay, so it's making quick work of this first phase, and also quick lag here. Okay, now we have the boss fight going, and let's see how to get these hitting properly. This is lagging so much, but it's really doing good work. If you spread these all across the arena, it really kind of makes this entire arena doing damage to Supreme Calamitas. But the lag is a bit unfortunate. Okay, now we're to the fireballs. And we'll do some more of this, get this lag going. Yeah, it's definitely a kind of unique way to fight Supreme Calamitas. I would prefer something just more homing, like the Subsuming Vortex, or the Eternity, or something like that. Okay, let's get these brothers destroyed. But I think this would be a really good item for some of the boss fights in the boss rush, I would assume. Like, this may not be the best item for all bosses, but it's probably pretty good for specific bosses in the boss rush. It's almost like you have to shoot these and then just pull the bosses down into them. Yeah, that does so much damage. I just shot like 2 and it's just completely wrecked the brother there. I'm just gonna try a strategy of just shooting these everywhere and just see how it works. This is such a weird fight. Oh, there's so many Devourer of Gods heads everywhere. And we're to the next phase. And now we got the next phase here. Perfect. Just throw these all over the place. And is Supreme Calamitas taking damage already? Wow, those demolish the orbs. That's really impressive. I think it's time to finish this. There we go. There are phases of the fight that I think this is really good on. Like, fighting the brothers with this is so good because they are perfectly at the distance for this. You just launch it and then just kind of like bring them down and it will basically absolutely melt the brothers. For the brim orbs, you can kind of just shoot these all over the top of the map and it will just completely destroy the orbs. As far as fighting Supreme Calamitas, I would probably just switch to something different because this isn't really that useful on the main parts of the fight because you kind of have to pull Supreme Calamitas in it or launch a few like this and then circle back and drop and let Supreme Calamitas kind of fall and take all that damage. I'm sure I could optimize my strategy to do it a lot better, but that's kind of my assessment of this for Supreme Calamitas. Now I want to take a look at the boss rush and see how this goes because I'm just curious how this works on certain bosses. So on the Queen Bee, she moves around so much, it might be a little bit tricky, but if we keep the Queen Bee in like similar locations, it could be pretty good. While the Queen Bee kind of stands still, it can do crazy amounts of damage. I think this is going to do really well on the Brain of Cthulhu. Oh my goodness, yeah. I don't even know if it's going to have a chance to dash. Yeah, that's the fastest I've ever seen Brain of Cthulhu die. And the King Slime, I saw it do over 1 million when we first started shooting it. Yeah, this is not necessarily bad against the Eye of Cthulhu, but it's more about just like getting the Eye of Cthulhu to stand in these. I mean, that's kind of just how this weapon works for every boss, though. You want to just try to get the boss to stand in it. Oh yeah, this is going to destroy Skeletron so much. Wow. Yeah, this weapon really excels on particular bosses. I think this will do really well on Golem too. Oh, this is going to be so good for the Destroyer. Once when the Destroyer loses his invincibility, it's going to, yep, instantly get killed there. Okay, well, I'm going to turn off the boss rush. It's such an amazing weapon. I love the unique visuals, and it doesn't take that much magic if you just shoot a few, and then the amount of damage that you leave scattered across your arena is just so crazy. And I would definitely recommend for any endgame mage to have this up in their hotbar, because even if you're using something like Eternity, you can always throw a few of these down and then start using your Eternity. And there's so many encounters where putting these down will just create so much extra damage. I think this is one of the highest damage potential weapons in the entire game. It does require certain boss movements and certain player movements and positioning where you shoot these in order to obtain that crazy high damage. That concludes our showcase of the amazing Apotheosis. I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have, be sure to like and subscribe. I also make other videos, like I'm currently working on a Death Mode Calamity Mage playthrough, so if you want to check that out, be sure to do so. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.